Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order for our Board of Education meeting for tonight. As soon as Laura Lee gets to her seat, we'll have roll call.
Stu Boyd.
Here.
Denise Chapman. Here. Amy Doran. Here. Don Kirk. Barbara Cruz.
Here.
Alexandra Lessem.
Here.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Here.
Thank you, Laura Lee. And then, Nancy, would you lead us in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Nancy. And Stu, would you please read the mission statement?
The board may proceed into executive session.
No.
Oh, the mission statement.
We already did that.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay.
Now, the mission statement. The Thompson School District will be a school that empowers, challenges, and inspires students, faculty, staff, parents, school leaders, and community members to learn, achieve, and excel.
Thank you, Stu. Our first item of business is the adoption of the agenda for today, November 20th, 2024. Are there any changes to the agenda for today? Hearing none, I will take a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
So move.
So I have a
Second.
first, and thank you, a first from Stu and a second from Alexandra. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman. Aye. Amy Doran. Aye. Don Kirk. Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes. And our next item of business will be approval of minutes. We have two sets that we need to approve. 4.1 is the approval of the minutes for October 16th, 2024. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve the minutes for October 16, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you. A first from Alexandra and a second from Denise. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman. Aye. Amy Doran. Aye. Don Kirk. Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Our second set is for the approval of the minutes for November 6th, 2024, which was our study session for November. Does anybody have any changes or corrections to the minutes of the November 6th meeting? Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve the minutes for November 6th.
I move.
Thank you, Nancy. And Denise. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman. Aye. Amy Doran. Aye. Don Kirk. Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion also passes. We will move now into public participation, and we'll begin with our superintendent's report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Education, community, and students. Welcome to our November board meeting, and I am pleased to provide you with some updates from throughout the school district. Together with several board members, I've had the pleasure of visiting schools across the district to connect with students and staff. These visits offer valuable insights into the educational activities happening in our schools, and we are deeply grateful to the staff for their warm hospitality and support in hosting us. Superintendent student advisory groups. Over the past month, I've also met with members of my high school, middle, and elementary student advisory committees at the district office. These groups provide great feedback to our team regarding student experiences throughout TSD. With every session, I'm amazed at the wonderful insights our students are able to share with us. Read Aloud Day. On November 12th, we celebrated Read Aloud Day. This yearly tradition highlights the importance of literacy and the power of a great book. Many local business people, district employees, board members, and community members were invited into classrooms to read to groups of children. Many readers brought their favorite age-appropriate storybooks to read aloud. Schools throughout the district celebrated the Veterans Day holiday with a variety of activities, which included educational lessons, special events, and visits from veterans within our community. Many of our schools worked hard to design unique opportunities to honor the special day. Throughout the month of November, we are highlighting TSD military veterans on our social media accounts and on our district website. Once again, thank you, veterans, for your sacrifice and for all that you have done to protect and serve our country. On November 7th, Thompson School District hosted a kindergarten open house at Thompson Valley High School. The annual event is an excellent opportunity for families to visit with staff members at elementary schools across the district and learn more about our terrific programs. It was wonderful to see so many families in attendance. Families of current 8th graders are attending the district's series of high school open house nights. Students and families are able to meet teachers and staff, explore unique options offered by each school, and learn more about the next steps toward high school registration. This past Friday morning, team members from Subaru of Loveland and Thompson School District faced off in the group's annual Kids Pack-Off. Both teams had a lot of fun, with the true beneficiaries being the students in the district who are served by the program. A special thanks goes out to our friends at Subaru for their kindness and amazing support. Kids Pack is a community volunteer weekend meal service that supports food insecure students. Thompson School District. I'm also pleased to report that for the third year in a row, we prevailed. Actually, 6 of the 7 years. We lost during the COVID year. So just saying. Okay. Choice enrollment, a reminder that students and families who want to attend a school outside their attendance area next year are encouraged to complete the 24-25 choice and open enrollment application, which is now available through December 20th. Thompson School District has a variety of options available to fit the interests and goals of each student and family. To learn more, please visit tsd.org. Finally, several of our student athletes have had terrific recent successes at the state championship level. In fact, we'll be honoring all of these teams next month here, but we'll illuminate this now. Congratulations to the Thompson Valley High School boys cross country team who won the Class 4A state title. Thompson Valley's volleyball team has also won again, winning the 4A state championship. And right now, the Thompson Valley High School football team is still competing in the Class 3A football playoffs with the #1 seed in the tournament and an undefeated season. Meanwhile, Mountain View, we could clap, that's great. We're also equally excited to share that Mountain View High School set a historical milestone as they were crowned the first ever girls Class 4A flag football state champions. This year's team consisted of students from 4 TSD high schools, as well as students from Longmount, Roosevelt, and Resurrection Christian High Schools. This is just a small sampling of all of the success that our students have achieved. To learn more, please visit our district and school social media accounts and websites. So tonight, we're going to shift to our Top of Thompson and Community Champion recognitions. As a reminder to the board and the community, each month we honor 3 members from each of our employee groups. So we have classified, licensed, and APT, which is our administrative group. These are peer nominated, and so in a moment we'll be calling up the individuals that nominated the individuals and then the person who received the nomination. And then we have our Community Champion Award. This is an award that we started last year, which recognizes organizations, businesses, groups, nonprofits, just within our community, those that help support our district and or our schools. So we will first start with our Top of Thompson individuals. And first we're gonna start with classified. So I'm gonna invite up Pam Petrie, Secretary of Mountain View High School, and she was nominated by Assistant Principal Dan Cowgill.
Hi there, how are you guys doing? So I just wanted to share a few words about Pam. She's somebody that I work with on a daily basis, and she really just does a wonderful job. So this is what I've got for you on Pam. It is my distinct pleasure to write this letter in support of Pam for the Top of Thompson recognition. I've had the privilege of working closely with Pam, and her contributions have had a profoundly positive impact on both our school and the larger community. Pam has a remarkable ability to connect with a diverse group of staff members, teachers, and families. Her genuine kindness, understanding, and open-mindedness make her approachable to everyone she encounters. Whether she's interacting with parents from varied backgrounds, assisting teachers with unique needs, or working alongside staff members, Pam brings a warmth and positivity that fosters inclusiveness and builds lasting connections. What truly stands out about Pam is her sweet and helpful personality. No task is too big or too small for her to take on, and she always does so with a smile and an optimistic attitude. Pam's enthusiasm is contagious, and she naturally brings out the best in those around her. Her positive outlook, coupled with her tireless work ethic, ensures that whatever she sets her mind to is completed both with great skill and efficiency. Pam's versatility is unparalleled. She is truly a jack of all trades, always willing to step in wherever she's needed, whether it's taking on administrative duties, as organizing events, or providing one-on-one support to staff and students. Pam excels in her role that she plays. Her ability to pivot seamlessly between different tasks is a testament to her exceptional organizational skills and her commitment to excellence in everything she does. On a personal note, Pam has been an invaluable support to me in my position. Her attention to detail, problem-solving abilities, and proactive approach have made my role significantly easier, and I know I can always count on her to be there when I need her. Pam's reliability and willingness to go above and beyond to support others are truly rare qualities, and I am fortunate to have her as a colleague. In conclusion, Pam is not only a highly skilled professional, but also a kind and compassionate individual who has made a lasting impact on our school community. I wholeheartedly recommend her for the Top of Thompson recognition, as she embodies everything this honor represents.
Pam, congratulations. So we have a plaque for her, which would be great. And Pam, if you can just stick around after, we're going to take a picture with all the awardees tonight. So congratulations. Next, we'd like to move on to licensed staff. And tonight we will be honoring Bill Modi from Thompson Career Campus. He's a manufacturing and design teacher. And Bill was nominated by Keisha Martin, assistant principal. Keisha has a friend with her as well.
Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board, you guys are getting to know Mackenzie very well. I think 2 years ago I was pregnant. Last year this time she was up here with me as well. So yeah, she's going to be up here providing me with the privilege to honor Bill Mowdy. Bill Mowdy is our design and manufacturing teacher at TCC. And there's not enough words for me to describe how marvelous Bill is. And I actually think through one of our walkthroughs, I heard a fellow colleague say, gosh, that guy just talks with total excitement. Like everything he says just pours out with excitement. And there is no, I cannot testify to that enough about his enthusiasm, about his creativity, his innovative ways to teach students. Today I had the honor to observe him in class. He does a phenomenal job providing direct instruction, giving student hands-on support. He brought in I'm going to mess up the name, a wood chipper, hydraulic wood splitter today. Brought that in to just provide students the opportunity to see that in real live action. He even told me that he smells like fume still from it. Like he is just, yeah, that's why he's standing distant. Yes. He is just phenomenal. You know, he has done a great job putting together our AI pathway that is offered in the springtime in our evening courses on Wednesday night. He is a huge part of the curriculum design with that. He collaborates with other staff members from TCC. He does a phenomenal job partnering with Ames and making sure that our students are receiving the absolute best when they walk into his classroom every day. He does a great job providing our industry certifications. I know she really wants the microphone. It's your time to shine, dear. And so I just want to say wholeheartedly how proud and honored we are to have him on staff at Thompson Career Campus through Thompson School District. He is just the epitome of Top of Thompson, and he comes in with the most genuine positive attitude. He's the first to offer a helping hand to new staff to show them the ropes, and we are just honored to have him as part of our staff.
Congratulations, Bill. And Bill, if you can take one of those plaques that belongs to you, would be awesome. And last but not least, we're going to move to APT. So we have Erin Taylor. Erin is a student engagement specialist here at the Thompson School District. Erin was nominated by Kristen Earl.
Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to recognize Erin Taylor for her skill and hard work with middle school students here in TSD. Erin works with students on attendance. I've worked with Erin while at Turner Middle School, as well now at Middle School Thompson Online. Though Erin has thousands of middle school students, I'm always amazed that she seems to know the name and story of every student I happen to mention to her, which is almost superhuman how many families you've built relationships with. Erin is hardworking, a great problem solver, and doesn't give up. It sounds cliche, but in the type of work we both do, sometimes giving up feels like the only option that we have left. I sometimes feel like she and I have done everything possible to try to get a student to school, and yet Erin comes up with more creative ideas. She is patient, persistent, and willing to put in the time and effort. Over the years, I've seen Erin go out to homes, knock on doors, meet students at the library or coffee shops. She'll shadow students at school to see firsthand what the barriers might be. I truly believe she goes above and beyond the call of duty. When other adults in a student's life reach a point of burnout or exhaustion, Erin is still fighting to get that kid to school. It's her persistence and grit that I would like to recognize. This job is hard, and sometimes it's tempting to let go of the possibility that every student can be helped. But until that student is sitting in that school every single day, Erin will keep trying to get him there. So I would like to recognize her.
Congratulations, Erin. And help yourself to a plaque, please. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our community champion for the month of November. And so tonight we are recognizing Boomer Music, Drew Holmes. And Boomer Music was nominated by Pete Tays from Mountain View High School.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here. I met Drew a number of years ago when he took over ownership of Boomer Music up in Fort Collins. They are one of the few remaining locally owned music stores that are full service, including repair and that kind of thing. He is the only person that I know of that continuously still comes to every single school in the Northern Colorado area, especially here in Thompson, every week. His company sends a representative out. Drew actually comes to all of our schools here in TSD because he's also a TSD parent. And so he's got a lot of skin in the game when it comes to our buildings and our campuses. And so he comes every week to either drop off supplies or pick up instruments, drop off instruments when they need repairs or what have you. And he's always a text away. So I will often send him a text like, "Hey man, I forgot to tell you this when you were at school. Can you bring something by?" And he'll even drop it off, on his days that he's not, there to for his regular rounds, and it's amazing. I think some of the greatest things that Drew has done for our community is just again, he's loaning us equipment when we need equipment. Sometimes he loans us instruments when we need something shorthanded. We've got an instrument in the shop, and oftentimes he'll give a kid a loaner instrument to keep them moving and playing while their instrument's being repaired. At Mountain View, he's loaned us his van, his Boomer Music van, to allow us to move equipment for some of our performances, so we don't have to rent a U-Haul truck. But also during the COVID pandemic, when things were so crazy and all of the restrictions were put on band and choir, he single-handedly helped us put together bids for masks and for instrument bell covers and speaker systems for all of our teachers, and kept all of our kids doing the best that they possibly could during that pandemic, and outfitted our entire district with what they needed to have happen. So I just couldn't think of a better community partner than Drew Holmes and Boomer Music. Yeah.
Thank you, Drew. So now we'd like to invite up Drew, Erin, Bill, and Pam. If we can take a picture with the board, that'd be great.
Okay, sure I can see everybody. I think so. Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. Thanks. All right.
Finally, we move on to our school spotlight. So as you know, each month we highlight and showcase one of our amazing schools here in the Thompson School District. And tonight will be no exception. So I'd like to invite up Executive Director of Elementary School, Sarah Rasmussen, who will introduce tonight's school.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. Sarah Rasmussen, Executive Director of Elementary Schools. And this evening, I have the privilege of introducing Nikki Van Essen, who is the principal at Carey Martin. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Van Essen so she and those that she brought with her can talk about the wonderful things occurring at Carey Martin.
I could. Good evening. My name is Nikki Van Esten. I'm the proud principal at Carey Martin. Tonight, we've brought some students with us from our Student Lighthouse team to share our genius with you and a little bit about our Leader in Me program. We're also going to be singing some songs. All right.
Hi, I'm Olive, and we are the Carey Martin Student Lighthouse team, student leadership team. We do many different things, including fundraising activities, organizing a canned food drive for our community, and making decisions about how to give the money back to our students' body by providing year-end celebration activities.
Carey Martin is a Leader in Me school. Leader in Me teaches kids important life and leadership skills using a form of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. At school, we use the 8 Habits of Happy Children. We have been known as a Lighthouse School since 2017, which means we do an awesome job with leadership and teamwork. It's kind of like getting your black belt.
Hi, my name is Bennett, and I'm in 2nd grade. This year, we also received a Leader in Me Honor Roll Award because of our incredible growth on reading and math on CMS. Only a small number of schools receive this award globally.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm in 2nd grade. As students from Carey Martin, we try to practice the 8 habits using the Leader in Me philosophy at school and at home. The goals of Leader in Me are to be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, have a win-win attitude, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, sharpen thought, and find our voice.
One of the things we do at Carey Martin is host a Leadership Day. This is where we invite community and family members to our school so we can showcase our leadership skills through our work on our community service projects. Each grade level participates in a project that supports an organization within our local community.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm in 4th grade. For example, last year, our 3rd grade service project, we learned about a few different nonprofits that work with animals, and we voted to help International Hearing Dogs. They have changed their name since our project to Paragon Service Dogs, an organization that trains dogs for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. We interviewed them to find out what their needs were, and then we held an entrepreneurial fair to raise money to help them. We also created some cards to hand out to let people know that they are in need of volunteers. We raised $1,084 and were also awarded a grant from AutoCares for $500. So altogether, we raised $1,584 to help them. Hi.
Now we will sing our school song. If you know it, sing along. Thank you for your time this evening and allow us to highlight what Carrie Martin is proud of. We would like to extend an invitation to our Leadership Day, which will be April 29th.
Does anyone have any questions?
How about questions? Buddy?
I remember you being one of our tour guides when we went through Carrie Martin. You did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't think the other students here with him, no. But you did a great job.
Thank you.
I think you said how many years you've been a Leader in Me school. How many was that?
Long time. 7 years.
7 years, okay. Nicely done.
Just a quick comment, Barb. I visited Carrie Martin with Dr. Schaefer and Nancy and really enjoyed the tour that Jack, do I have the right first name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Marley, I believe was the name of the other student who
Yeah.
conducted the tour. And we were blown away with their poise, their knowledge, and I think you can see that what's happening at Carrie Martin through the Leader in Me program, through the students who are here this evening, is developing some awesome skills that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. So good job and nice to see you again.
Any other questions?
My kids went to Carrie Martin, as did Dawn, who's not here, and went through all that initial Leader in Me when it was rolled out. I know we still use the 8 habits when things are, and so I encourage you to, these aren't just for elementary school. Keep using them throughout and have those conversations with people, because this foundation you're building on being a leader can help you in so many ways as you grow older.
So we'd love to take a picture with y'all in your fancy schmancy vests there. So we'll be right with you.
Also, thank you to all of the Carrie Martin staff that came to support us. Yeah, and the parents.
Back.
All right. Hey, Nancy, can you pop up on the step for me, Nancy? There we go. Thanks. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our board committee reports, and I frequently ask them to, or suggest an item or a topic for them to work with. So I asked them today to consider sharing about the school visits that they did, or if there's a committee that they've been attending that they'd like to share the meeting, the notes from that meeting. So let's start down there. Denise, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to visit 8 different schools during our school visit, elementaries, middle school, KHs, and high schools. So a little bit of all the different flavors here in the district. And what struck me was just the wide range of activities that I saw in the classroom, and kind of the something for everyone, from the aerospace class that I had no idea existed out at Mountain View, where they were working on, building planes. So from a career and technical side, and so seeing the auto shop at Thompson Valley, and learning more about what they're learning on how to repair cars, and watching teachers who were incredibly dedicated to their craft at all those levels, trying to work with students, meet them where they are in terms of their level of learning and how to best engage them. It was an incredibly uplifting experience to see so many different ways that kids were learning. Whether it was in small groups, in pairs, listening to teachers, one-on-one with teachers, and magical classrooms throughout, including one that was fully Harry Potter themed. It was super magical. But the work, the time, and just the genuine caring from instructors to make sure teachers were connecting with kids was very impressive.
Alexandra?
So I did not visit any schools. I was unable to do so. And unfortunately, also, I was super excited to do the Read Aloud Day because it was actually on a day I was off this year, which it never has been before. But I was apparently a little late in signing up. And so by the time I looked to sign up, all the slots were filled. So I didn't get to do that either. But I think that speaks sort of to the enthusiasm for that event in our community, that I was not very late in signing up and that everybody had taken the spots, I think is actually really pretty cool. That there's obviously a lot of interest for that and for sharing the love of reading with our students and with our community. So I'm sure it was a great day, and maybe I'll get to do it next year if I'm quick to the sign up.
Nancy?
I joined the staff at Truscott Elementary School for the Veterans Day Parade, and it was really a joy to see all the kids out there with their American flags and to hear them join the chants of USA, USA, USA that filled the air with love and pride for America. And then the ceremony at Dwayne Webster Park, the Mountain View High School Band played the Star Spangled Banner and all the official songs of the military branches. And so, Carrie left. But job well done, Mountain View High School Band. You guys did a phenomenal job representing the district. We must never forget the service and sacrifice of those who volunteer in the military to defend us and the principles of liberty that America was founded on. And I just wanted to share a couple excerpts from President Reagan's farewell address. And are we doing a good enough job teaching our children what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world? We were taught very directly what it means to be an American, and we absorbed almost in the air a love of country and an appreciation of its institutions. If you didn't get these things from your family, you got them from the neighborhood, or you could get a sense of patriotism from school. We've got to do a better job of getting across that America is freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of enterprise. And freedom is special and rare. It's fragile. It needs protection. So we've got to teach history based not on what's in fashion, but what's important. And I'll just leave it at there. I just think it's really, with Veterans Day in the month of November, I think it's really important to remember that all these things we hold near and dear is due to the sacrifice of all the men and women who volunteer in our military service. Thank you.
I'll do mine last.
Well, I already shared some thoughts with you about the visit to Carrie Martin. Also visited the Forest Schools in Berthoud on that same day. So let me just talk very quickly and briefly about two other experiences I've had recently. I was invited to serve as one of the judges for the Berthoud High School Future Farmer of America Prepared Speech Contest. Heard some excellent speeches on various aspects of agriculture. And along with another judge, we made the tough decision of choosing a student who would be going on to the state competition. I appreciated the opportunity to do that. And then at the end of October, I also represented our Board of Education at the fall conference of CASB, the Colorado Association of School Boards. And at one of the sessions, our board was recognized for work that we have completed recently in developing Thompson School District's first ever legislative platform. And so I was honored and pleased to be present for that recognition.
So like Alexandra, I was unable to go to any of the school tours, unfortunately. But I would like to talk about the recent PIE meeting that I went to. So I'm the representative for PIE, and that is the Family PIE Partners in Education. That was on November 12th, and of course it was well attended, welcoming and inviting. You know, they do offer childcare there, so that's just an extra perk. At that meeting, we elected new officers. We reviewed the budget and all of the P-card expenses. We reviewed the 2024-25 early childhood program objectives. And one thing that just really stood out to me in the report was that one of the objectives is related to attendance. The objective is students will maintain an 85% attendance rate during the 2024-2025 school year. The current attendance rate in early childhood is at 92%. So I think that that's pretty phenomenal. This is great because we all know that social skills and learning cannot occur without kids being present in the buildings. So with that, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to all of our bus drivers and paras who help to get our littles to school every day. Just, you know, it takes a village for all of that. And so, again, just wanted to give them a shout out. And then our training was on the self-assessment that will collect data over the next 2 to 3 months. And they do this from a variety of lenses: health services, nutrition, transportation, ESS, mental health, family and community services, education and childhood development, fiscal management, recruitment, selection, enrollment, and attendance. And again, this robust self-assessment drives the action plan for the 2025-2026. So it's just always a joy to go to those meetings. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I visited schools, and this is my 8th year on the board, so I've had lots of opportunities to visit schools. And during that time of visiting schools, the changes that I've seen and the growth, just in every area of it, is always really fun to be able to get back into the schools and watch the teachers in action, visit with them. It's amazing. I went to TCC and Ferguson High School, which is always an amazing spot to visit because there's so many different things going on. And then I think we touched 16 additional schools, counting the K-8s and the elementary. So it was, I did 3 full days with them, and it was fun, and it's amazing. And I got about 8,000 steps each day, because it's a lot of walking all around the schools. It was great. So thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts on that. And we'll turn it over to public comment. And do you want to read that little piece? Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So because the board wants to hear the viewpoints of the public and also needs to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner, it will schedule time during its regular board meetings for brief comments and questions from the public. The board will set a time for public participation prior to the business portion of the meeting. The time for each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and each individual will only be recognized once. If there is a large number of speakers, the board may elect to take comments for 1 hour before the business meeting and conclude public comment after the business meeting. Public comments and questions at regular meetings may deal with topics related to the board's conduct of schools. Speakers may offer such criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Personnel matters will be discussed in executive session. Okay, so.
Thank you.
Do I?
Yep.
Okay, I run the timer tonight. Our first speaker is Lori, is it Gable or Goebel? Goebel, I'm sorry. So I will, you will have 3 minutes. The timer will flash yellow when you have 30 seconds.
That's right up here to kind of watch.
Good evening, Madam President Cruz, board members, Dr. Schaefer, staff, parents, students, and citizens. Laura Goebel from Loveland. I just want to ask one question. Actually, I have 3 points, but one, first of all, is a clarification. I had heard that there was an overnight activity in which there was somebody who was trans was placed in a room with a female. I'm just wondering, what is TSD policy? Or if you could direct me as to where I could find that policy. Because we need to protect our girls, and that's why I'm here tonight. We need to protect our girls and our women, wherever they are, to empower them so that they feel safe, so that they can build their confidence, and so that they can go on to achieve what God has called them to achieve here in this life. Second is I want to address you regarding keeping girls' sports for girls. My sister was a high performance athlete. She received a full ride scholarship to a Division I school for basketball. Back in the day, if there would have been boys competing, she would have been robbed of that experience. I have 2 nieces who also received full ride scholarships for basketball. Once again, if they had to compete against boys, they practice and they work so hard at their skills. And yet, if we allow boys to compete, if they identify as trans, but they should not be competing as girls. They should not be competing with the girls and against the girls. We find this has been dangerous time and time again all across our country. We're allowing them to be robbed right in front of our eyes if we allow this. We're allowing the theft of their safety, theft of their security, theft of their future, theft of scholarships, and theft of their identity. Thirdly, I'd like to comment regarding Coach Torres. She stood up in courage to protect her female athletes. And I think that she should be commended for that rather than have been removed from that position. So my ask of you this evening, our ask, those people who I've talked to regarding this, is one, if that is the policy of TSD regarding overnight stays, where biological boys are allowed to room with biological girls, this needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. We need to protect all students. Girls' sports, too. Girls' sports is for girls, women's sports for women. Biological females, allow them to speak. Thank you for your time.
That's it. We just had the one.
Just the one
Just
comment?
one public
Okay,
comment.
thank you. All right. We will move on to our action consent items, and these are items,
Had no idea how to sign up for public speaking. Is there still an opportunity to address the board?
not tonight. Sorry, it has to be done by 6 o'clock.
Can someone, because that's not anywhere that I could find publicly.
They'll only have one speaker.
That's not somewhere that's posted publicly, anywhere that you can find on how to register to speak.
It's on the website. and
It's on it,
we'll
yeah.
be sure that is, feedback on us.
Yeah. All right, these are items that we had presented to us at a previous meeting or a study session and involve items that just need to be approved. So there are just a few of them tonight. Some nights it's quite long. So 6.1 is the approval of personnel extra duty coaching recommendations. 6.2 is approval of expenditures over $50,000. 6.3 is approval of gifts and foundations, gifts and donations. And 6.4 is the approval of Curriculum Improvement Council new course proposal. Are there any items the board members want further discussion on? Hearing none? Okay. Stu, I'm going to have you read the gifts and donations prior to our voting on these.
All right.
Okay?
First of all, from Strive 2025, 4.2, assets are properly inventoried, maintained, and used appropriately without waste. And 4.3, provide transparency in use of resources. The purpose is school board policy states that gifts and donations over $1,000 need to be approved by the Board of Education. I asked Barb if I could do this portion of the meeting this evening because of the nature of the donations that we have. The following donations have been received. $7,500 donation to be used for the athletic program at Turner Middle School from the Stan Kaufman Estate, and $2,441.46 donation to be used for the athletic program at Turner Middle School, also from the Stan Kaufman Estate. I knew Stan. I was present at his memorial service a few weeks ago, where his sister announced that in his will that he had left a bequest to the Thompson School District. Stan was a longtime physical education teacher and coach at Turner Middle School. And so I'm honored to bring this information to you and to share these donations for the athletic program at Turner Middle School.
Thank you, Stu. Okay, I will take a motion to approve the action consent items that I read off. That would mean from one of you.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So who said that? Okay, Denise and Stu. Okay, thank you. All right, Laura Lee, would you call the roll, please?
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Don Kirk. Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on to our discussion items, and 8.1 is the district academic update with Dr. Schneider and Theo and Sarah.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Schaefer. Melissa Schneider, Assistant Superintendent of the Thompson School District. Tonight, I have with me Executive Directors Sarah Rasmussen and Theo Robeson, who will be providing you with an update on our progress towards the goals mentioned in our District Unified Improvement Plan. You might recall a few months ago, me presenting you with our District Unified Improvement Plan, which is a plan we submit to the state annually, and it was a request of the board to hear some regular updates about our progress towards achieving those goals. So I will turn it over to these executive directors.
Greetings, Dr. Schaefer, Madam President, and members of the board. Laura Lee, if you don't mind doing the slides first. Thank you. So our Strive 2025 connection is Focus Areas 1, Student Achievement, and Focus Area 2, Inclusive and Supportive Culture. Our goals for the year are focused on ensuring strong learning experiences for each of our students, along with providing environments that are safe, welcoming, in each of our schools and classroom settings. During this presentation, you will learn more about our action steps and benchmarks that will allow us to meet our district unified improvement goals in support of our students with disabilities and our students that are multilingual learners. On this slide here, you're able to see that we would like to see our students that are multilingual learners and students with disabilities meet the 50th percentile in English language arts for the 24-25 school year. On the left side of the screen, you're able to see our current scores in elementary school, middle school, and in high school as relates to our students with disabilities. And then on the right side of the screen, you're able to see the scores for our students who are multilingual learners. Here, we have a similar presentation for you as it relates to our math scores. Again, on the left, you see our students with disability scores, and on the right, our multilingual learner scores. So on this slide, you see all schools have continuous improvement teams. These are actually our building leadership teams as well. During our district level trainings, teams have been provided training, support, and time focused in effectively analyzing data, which is making us more data literate across our system. We provide support in how to write goals and create action steps that work towards closing achievement gaps. We also were able to look at SMARTY goals, which helps us have a stronger emphasis in inclusive and equitable goal writing for our students. This has created the opportunity for us to be more critical in looking at specific student populations as it relates to growth and achievement. Also, we've implemented professional learning communities thanks to the district providing solution tree training for our secondary educators and our elementary specials teachers. We also know that Thompson School District has had a long-standing support of professional learning communities. This is an opportunity to specifically address the strengths of our students with disabilities and multilingual learners. Our PLCs also impact our content areas, specifically in addressing grade level standards. Our PLCs allow teachers and instructional leaders to look at classroom assessment real-time data and to adjust that data in support of each individual learner. We've also had special education programming engaged in an audit with the state in the spring of 2024. We now have a detailed plan for professional learning based on those findings. In addition, we also have an audit that will take place in the spring of 2025 as relates to our multilingual learners. With this information, we'll create a detailed plan based on the findings once it's completed. Our EC12 building administration have engaged in professional learning focused on writing. This work started last year, but this year we're focusing on meeting the needs of students with disabilities and multilingual learners, and are qualifying, and our multilingual learners and our students qualifying for gifted education. We're using a platform this year called Illuminate DNA. This platform has allowed us to look at common writing assessment scores 3 times a year. This allows our building principals to have a professional learning environment that strategizes how to look at each student's individual needs as it relates to the content standards. We've aligned our elementary, middle school, and secondary principal meetings in support of having professional learning as it relates to this data. In addition to that, we have our instructional leadership teams, conversations, and our core curriculum coordinator meetings also focused on helping us better analyze this DNA assessment data. So next up, Sarah Rasmussen will give us some more details.
Thank you, Theo, and thank you again, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. I'm going to continue talking about the academic action plan focusing on English language arts, specifically right now focusing on elementary. So elementary English language arts materials pilot is going to occur second semester. And the way that we started this is we sent a survey out to our building principals, our building, our teachers, and we really looked to gather some data. Who would be interested in piloting? Who would be interested in serving on a literacy task force? And what are the other considerations that our teachers and building leaders would like us to have in mind as we are looking at English language arts materials? So we have already started. We gathered the data quickly, and we implemented a literacy task force. That task force met on Monday, and they already combed through the data that was received from our teachers and our building leaders to start looking at the criteria that they would like to see in addition to state criteria for what's going to make a good, effective literacy program for our students in Thompson. Our intent is to bring forward a recommendation and adoption for next school year. We have also been engaging in professional learning through All Learners Network. This is happening elementary through secondary. And All Learners Network is really helping our teachers understand how we ensure that each of our students have access points as we are teaching math, utilizing our district-approved curricular materials. So as we do our walkthroughs, we're looking for implementation of these different strategies within our classrooms. We are seeing implementation stronger, with stronger math pedagogy. It's aligning with the training that we're providing for our teachers, which is awesome. It's exactly what we'd like to see. What we're looking for specifically are launches. Launches are ways to get students involved and excited about the math activity, and it also provides opportunities for each student to access it at the level that makes sense for them. We're looking for main lesson, we're looking for very intentional small groups and differentiated math menus for our students. We're also looking for strong closures. We are still needing to work on strong closures. That's from the time that I was a teacher until what I'm seeing in classrooms, it's hard. It's hard to remember that, and something we're going to be working on over the next few months with our professional learning. So again, when we are looking at this approach to how we teach math, we are looking at ensuring that each student are multilingual learners, gifted and talented, students with disabilities, any of our students, and the needs that they have, the strengths that we can build on, all have an access point for math. Our next goal that I'm going to read, and then you can look at the data below that, this is our climate and culture goal that we have in our DUIP. Elementary students will report a 75% favorable ranking on student sense of belonging. Secondary students will report a 45% favorable ranking on the Panorama survey. And this is going to be, the survey that we're looking at is going to be in the spring. We have given our climate and culture survey now. It's kind of a benchmark, so we can see we're going to pull out those questions for sense of belonging, and we will re-administer those later in the school year. As Theo mentioned, we have continuous improvement teams that are engaging in professional learning, and also part of that is how do we create school-wide systems that are both restorative? So restorative would be how we're maintaining our relationships, and culturally responsive. And culturally responsive is really having the understanding of who our students are, their each individual needs, and how we meet those needs. What we're working on, one of the strategies, are classroom agreements. So classroom agreements, something that we're looking for, you may have seen them as you're walking through buildings. They should be posted in the classroom and signed by the students. So these classroom agreements have been co-created. Every student in that classroom has had a voice in ensuring that the agreements align with who they are as a person and their beliefs and values. We will continue to provide training in February on what does it look like to really follow through when these classroom agreements have been broken. Our continuous improvement teams have also engaged in professional learning around warm welcomes for each student. So these occur as students walk into their learning environment. It's a personalized greeting in which the student has voice and choice in how they are greeted. We want them to be greeted by name with the correct pronunciation of their name, and we want them to be able to choose what does that greeting look like for them. So in secondary, it might be a simple high five. In elementary, I have seen many pictures in which students have lots of choices of how they want to be greeted by their teacher. But again, this is student-based, so we need to offer opportunities that work for each student. And then these greetings also continue throughout the day. So it doesn't just happen in the morning, but it happens any time that they enter a new learning environment. And then, as I mentioned before, our Culture and Climate Survey, it did close on November 15th. These results will be analyzed and then used to determine our next steps. So what we've put in place so far in this small window of time, are we seeing that it's working, or do we need to make some adjustments? The great timing, actually, of this presentation, it falls right in line with the work that our continuous improvement teams have been doing this week. They actually have come back together, and they're having discussions with their teams about the impact of warm welcomes, the impact of classroom agreements, what's working, what's not working, and we've given them time to do some action planning so that they can take that back to their staff. So, does the board have any questions?
I do, so while they're thinking, I'm going to ask mine, so I can have that opportunity. When you were talking about the elementary selecting a new curriculum or revisiting what they're using, and you have a core of teachers, are there all schools represented or all grade levels? And it's not just administrators, it's actual users of the program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have the Literacy Task Force. We were very intentional on the task force. So we have every grade level is represented on the task force. We try to have a variety of school communities represented as well. And we have administrators on that task force. We also have coordinators at the district level. So we want to make sure that we have representation for various student groups, because we want to make sure that this is going to be a comprehensive program that meets the needs of our students, and we're not piecing things together. And then as far as the pilot goes, we wanted to make sure we had each school represented, so we do.
Okay, so how many are you piloting?
Well, so that is not determined yet, because what's happening right now is the task force on Monday created their list of kind of look for, so what's the criteria that they would like to have. And now, as early as tomorrow, I believe, there are materials that they're going to start looking at to narrow down which ones they would like to pilot.
And are they revisiting Ready Gen as part of that?
They are not. So we are utilizing the list that the Colorado Department of Education has
they
approved.
have a new list.
So it's a brand-new list.
Okay, and I've seen through my classroom visits the benefits of foundations, and so I'm hoping that that's a piece that's kept in place in that aspect as and if we're looking at another type of program like that, I hope that it's one that we bring forward that allows for those kids that don't have that skill in place that they need. Second thing is, when I was visiting the schools, those agreements are very powerful, because I've watched teachers say, not having to reprimand a child in any way, but simply would point at the agreement and they said, remember you signed that. and the kids can learn to check their behavior in that way. So that's what I had to comment on. Anybody else have comments? Nancy?
First, thanks for getting back on the RFI. Only a couple follow-up. So on the question that I asked about the sense of belonging and that the benchmarks to increase, the second part of that question was, how will it be tied to academic improvement data? And I didn't see that answer in there, and it might be that maybe you guys haven't figured that out yet, and that's okay. I just want to know, how will you tie it, or will you tie it to academic improvement?
Thank you, Nancy, for asking that question. I'm going to tell you how we have begun to tie those data together. We've actually taken data from the Panorama Culture and Climate Survey, which was last year. This year is just finishing up, as you heard, and actually correlated it with our academic outcomes to see which kids are answering questions in a way that would indicate they have a low sense of belonging, and how are those same kids performing academically. Also, how is their attendance and how is their discipline track record? And we are beginning to see some emerging patterns in how the students are feeling about how they belong in their classrooms and how they're performing academically. And when I have that more updated with this more recent climate and culture data, I'd be more than happy to share that with you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anybody else? Stu?
First, let me be sure that I'm understanding the slides. The first slides were related primarily to students with disabilities and English language learners. Is that correct? The first few slides were geared toward that demographic
That
of
is
our
correct.
student population.
Yes.
Then the rest of the slides apply to all of our students. Is that correct? Including the students with disabilities and English language learners, right?
Correct.
All right. So when do you anticipate that you'll be able to bring us a progress report or a progress update related not just to the academics, but to what you find related to belonging and culture and climate? Can you project a time when you might come back to us with a progress update?
So that would be with our culture and climate survey data, which closed on Friday. So once we have the opportunity to really go through that data, I know that Panorama looks at that data and kind of cleans the data, and then we will have more information.
And then, just to be more specific, I think we're looking to provide an update to the board at your December meeting. So the December, we should have Panorama data by then, and we'll be able to share it then.
All right, and that includes belonging then too, with culture and climate? Okay,
Correct.
thanks.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is 8.2, which is the annual utility update and energy performance contract. Todd?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, Board of Education, Dr. Schaefer. Todd Piccone, Assistant Superintendent of Operations. Tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen McTeague, our Director of Operations, and Melissa Carroll, our Resource and Energy Manager, and they'll take you through the utility update and also the energy performance contract that we've been talking about for some time. Just an update on that. So, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer. I'm Kristen Batigi, Director of Operations. Thanks so much for having us here tonight. Do you want to move to the next slide? So I'll just start with our connection to Strive 2025. Melissa will be getting into our utility data, where we are on our sustainability management plan. And two big pieces within that are the behavioral aspect, so that engagement in the classroom with staff, with students. So there's that strong focus there, as well as increase in alignment of resources to reflect the needs identified in the strategic plan. So that's those more infrastructure pieces that we're looking at and just tracking that data. So with that, I will turn it over to Melissa Carroll, and I'll be back up shortly.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all again. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer, Melissa Carroll, the Resource Energy Manager, and we're going to update you all on our utility use over the last 5 years. So what we're seeing here is first our water use. You can see the first graph is showing monthly use from July of 2019 all the way until this last June. And then that second graph is showing our annual cumulative use broken out into the outdoor water use versus the indoor water use. The big things to note here is you can see in the last 2 years we have reduced our total volumes of water, which is great to see. Part of that was that we did have a very wet spring and summer of 2023, and then we had a very cold spring of 2024. But then we actually shot up and had a very, very hot summer starting in June. So if you look at the most recent columns there on the monthly chart, you can see that the June of 2024 is actually exceeding the previous August. So when we're looking at this again next year, there will be a much higher increase in our outdoor water use because all of this really is tied to our weather. You can move on to the next slide there. So now looking at our electricity use, you can see that in the last 3 years, we have been doing a good job of kind of keeping it consistent and then decreasing it, which is good to see. A big part of that has to do with all of the infrastructure improvements that we've been doing. So there's been lots of construction happening through the bond projects and then also through the facilities capital improvements as well. And so all of these help us to reduce the actual energy use of the buildings, the electricity of the buildings. The big piece that we're working on that we're starting to see more of an increase of is finding that balance with, as we're adding more AC to the buildings that don't have AC, that's going to be increasing our electricity use. So finding ways to balance that out so we can continue this downward trend with our electricity. A big piece of that will be upgrading to LEDs. And Kristen will touch more on that through the energy performance contract shortly. On the next slide here. So natural gas is mostly tied to our weather. If it's a colder year, we will be using more natural gas, and when it's a warmer year, we're using less natural gas. So this past winter was actually quite mild. We did not have those super cold months that we've had in the past. And so we did have that decrease in our natural gas use, which is great to see here. The other piece is, again, we've been doing lots of improvements to our infrastructure. And so we have both of those pieces going hand in hand, which is showing that reduction in our natural gas use. If it's another cold winter this year, then we'll see how our improvements have actually been able to hold up with making those reductions overall. This slide is showing the costs, which I know is always the most important piece. And as always, I'll point out that little elephant in the room there on that monthly chart, that little spike that we see. And just a reminder that that is from February of 2021 when we had that huge energy system breakdown that happened in Texas. And then the extreme colds that we got here. And all of that kind of played off of each other and resulted in extremely high fees for our natural gas. As a result of that, the utility providers have been putting in extra fees every time it gets really, really cold to help recuperate some of their losses from that experience. So that's one of the pieces that we see that will come up in the future as well as right now. And so as we just talked about in the previous slide of natural gas being a lower use because it was a mild winter, because of that, we also didn't see as many of those fees. So this past year, you can see that that natural gas chunk is much less than the previous year where we had multiple years that were multiple weeks that were very, very cold and a lot more of those fees. The other thing to note on this is that we have electricity as our largest chunk and always has been. And so again, that's going back to that, finding that balance between adding AC, which is increasing our electricity use, increasing those costs, and then finding ways to actually improve our building efficiencies with LED lighting and all of those different pieces to actually bring down that cost and find that balance. This chart here is showing the breakouts of the different totals as we've gone through the last 5 years, as well as the rates for each of those different sectors as well. The things to note is that everything has been increasing, and as we expect to see. As you see again on that natural gas, last year or 2 years ago, we saw a big jump in the cost, and again, we had very, very cold weeks, multiple weeks in a row, so we had those higher fees. And so this last year has kind of put us more on that normal trend that we're seeing of just the increasing trend of the cost increase. And then similarly, electricity is just kind of steadily increasing. So even though it's just a little sense in terms of this rate, in terms of how much we're using overall, it just keeps trending upward. And so you can tell that from last year, where we're seeing over $4.4 million, all the way back 5 years ago, we were at $3.4 million. So just in that 5 years, we have just increased so much. So as our continuing efforts to reduce these utility bills, find ways to be more sustainable, to be more better stewards of the environment, we're working on our current and upcoming sustainability projects for this year. Some of the system projects, so the things that are really working on the infrastructure, the buildings, all of those. We've been working on gym upgrades to LEDs. We've been working on landscaping upgrades to reduce water use. We're also hoping to pilot an on-site composting program at Big T and Truscott, which will help with all our waste. And then also the energy performance contract, which will tentatively be able to address a lot of those larger systematic programs overall, which Kristen will touch on shortly. And then we also have the behavioral side of things. So those ongoing opportunities to touch base with the actual users of the building. So where the systematic side is the building itself, the behavioral side is how the people interact with the building. So we're doing things like I continue to do my presentations in the schools, and at this point it's been very exciting where I actually have teachers reaching out to me and being like, hey, I heard that you presented at this other school, can you come and talk to our school? And so that's a really cool thing to get that traction going. We're continuing with those 7th grade water field trips, and then as I mentioned, the on-site composting. On the other end of that, we actually have to teach the students how to use it, so we've been doing a cafeteria waste diversion program. All right. So these pictures here are showing that kickoff for that pilot program of the cafeteria waste diversion program, which we did in partnership with Schneider Electric. This was a project which was really exciting. The students were actually the big proponents for this and were the reasons that we started this in the first place. But being able to not only do an audit of their waste in the cafeteria and then calculate all of it to figure out, once they get their composter on site, how much are they actually diverting from the landfill. This was really cool to see all of their excitement on this. And we'll see how it improves as we transition it over to Truscott as well. These are some pictures of the front landscaping at Winona Elementary School. This area was previously where the modular classrooms were. We removed those and needed to do some kind of landscaping there. We didn't want to do the Kentucky bluegrass because that would be very high water use. So instead we have these beautiful native plants and some nice pathways to walk through as well. And this last photo set here is from this September. We had Walt Clark Middle School doing their water field trip. So this is them at the Loveland Water Treatment Plant. I will now pass it. Oh, never mind, I'm still talking. Quick update on our sustainability management plan. It was implemented in 2021, so we are reaching the end of that 5-year goals set. And with these goals, we are continuing to make progress on the goals. A lot of these things are nuanced, though, so it's not something where our benchmark is set and we can make improvements and see the immediate impacts, because we do have the nuances of things like I keep mentioning the AC, whereas we're adding that air conditioning, again, our electricity is going to go up, even though we're making all of these lighting improvements and other system improvements, so trying to find that balance. The other things that we're seeing is that it's going to change year to year. So when we are revamping this plan next year, we will be evaluating how it has changed over the past 5 years. Like, for example, the electricity in 2023 increased by 6%, and in 2024 increased by 3%. So just trying to look at the different years and see how best to create our goals for the next plan that are achievable, and then also kind of taking into account the different pieces that are out of our control and that will not be a beautiful masterpiece of just from going benchmark to goal plan. All right. And I think now I will pass it over. Yes.
Thank you, Melissa. So I'm going to speak about our energy performance contract. So as Melissa was talking about those goals within the sustainability management plan, one avenue to achieve some of those goals are by engaging in an energy performance contract. So we've been talking about this for over a year, just kind of going through this process. One element of that that's in the sustainability management plan is a solar project. Next slide. So here is kind of the process for the energy performance contract. This is a slide that you've seen. We just have additional check marks on that, on that timeline there. So this is a model for funding and implementing capital improvement upgrades by using future cost savings. So it is backed and supported by the Colorado Energy Office. So they have been with us every step of the way, reviewing information, and also it's a guaranteed process for that. So the savings have to be guaranteed by Schneider, reviewed by the Energy Office. If those savings aren't reached as we're engaging in this, then Schneider is paying that difference. So that's how the Colorado Energy Office is supporting this process. Schneider Electric was selected through a competitive RFP process, and at this point we have received the investment grade audit report and are working toward those next steps. So just providing that update today. So the investment grade audit, it's a detailed audit of our building energy and water use systems. The fee for that was predetermined. It's set by the Colorado Energy Office. That's a contract that we had entered into last fall. If we move forward with the EPC, the energy performance contract, that cost is included within the financing, and we can also decide not to move forward with that EPC, in which case we would pay that, that fee. So we had various considerations as we were considering this process, just to make sure we're being very thoughtful about how we move forward. Next. So energy performance contracts scope of work, this was narrowed down to 8 sites. Again, this is a new process for us, and while it does have that backing from the Energy Office, we would just want it to be cautious and not a district-wide approach right out the gate. So these are the 8 sites that were identified, and based on that, that audit, as well as just continual conversations with staff, all sites would be receiving LED lighting and low flow fixture upgrades. We identified Walt Clark Middle School as a great site to receive on-site solar, so we did look at a few different locations and what that would be. The year one savings are estimated to be about $210,000, and that total project cost of about $502 million. So for this, as I said, the energy performance contract, that is financed through kind of future cost savings. So there is a financing element of that. There's also currently a renewable investment tax credit. So for this particular project, that would be $960,000 that would go toward that. And then there are also grants and rebates. So both Melissa as well as Schneider Electric have been great about identifying what those grants are, the rebates, and just working closely to make sure that we can take advantage of all of those dollars to go into this. Another piece of this is, as of January 1st of 2025, fluorescent bulbs will no longer be available in the state of Colorado. So we can't buy them, ship them here or anything. We have a lot of sites that do have fluorescent lamps in our buildings. And so this is a way to get us to almost 50% of our schools that are LED. So on the backside, our facilities staff have plans in place of how to make sure that we are literally keeping the lights on. And also this is something that we have to continue to look at ways to achieve this. There's, it's the right thing to do. It improves the learning environment. It's just a matter of, you all know, as we look at budgets, it's hard to prioritize the different pieces. And sometimes these projects can, get lower on the priority list. The energy performance contract is great because it is based on these types of projects. So it is a way to fund those in that way. Okay, thanks. So the next steps for this particular process is to release a non-binding financing RFP. So that would tell us what that contract would look like with a provider and give us the interest rate, so then we can determine those next pieces. And then after that, approve the contract for the energy performance contract, which is kind of that full package. And that is the end. Thank you. Any questions?
Not a question, but a request. When you were showing us the slides about the energy goals, I'm hoping that in a couple of years, I noted that the date of the, on the slide was at the end of the 25-26 school year. And so I'm hoping that at that point, you'll be able to give us progress update on the achievement of those goals. And then also, I just wanted to make a particular comment. I appreciate when you have spoken to us before, when you talk about working with the students going into the schools and making presentations, you're always excited and enthusiastic. And if you're excited and enthusiastic talking to the Board of Education about working with the kids and what you hope to achieve and make them energy conscious and so on, I can only imagine that you really light up when you're working with the kids, and that's so important that they're receiving information from someone who is authentically concerned and excited about it. So thank you for that, and I will look forward to the progress reports.
Absolutely. And just to comment on that, one, I've seen her, and she's amazing.
I bet she is.
And the other piece is, we just like we've done each year, we have a annual utility report. And so we will be submitting at the next board meeting. So it does have some more detailed progress updates, but then certainly at the end of that 5-year.
I had a couple follow-ups to the RFI, which, thank you. I know you guys are probably used to my questions by now, but I appreciate you answering them. On the charging stations, I was a little confused when I was asking about what type of EVs do we have, electric vehicles. And you said at this time, you said currently we do not have any EVs. I thought we did have electric vehicles. Or have we just been talking about purchasing them?
Yep, we've been talking about purchasing them. It's kind of like cart, horse, chicken and egg. I don't know. We've got to have the charging stations to have the EVs. So there's talks, and we'll be moving forward with those.
Okay. And then when we do purchase them, then that will determine whether it's, I don't know what all these things mean, but whether it's a BEV or a PHEV, because that really looks like it makes a big difference in the charge time. So
yes,
I'm sure you're looking at that. Okay, that helps. And then I think on the replacement of the fluorescent lights, I think the states should pay, since they decided that we can't have them anymore. They should pony up the money. So. And then you probably won't be able to answer this one. I just thought of it as you were talking, which is where I was asking the question about the $5.2 million, how is it going to be? And you talked about the grants and the rebates and then a loan. And so I guess I would just be curious if you guys are working on a plan B as the new administration that's coming in with their, I don't remember what, the Dodge program, looking for things to government waste and cut. I'm not sure, I don't think anyone knows how that could flow down to all these different things, but maybe some of these rebates and grants might not be around. So I'm sure you guys might be thinking about a plan B, but that might be something if you could come up, let us know sometime what plan B is in case that type of funding isn't available, because that would just increase the amount that we'd have to borrow.
Sure.
So anyway, but thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, as far as like the next steps, as far as releasing that RFP and looking at the contract, what is your thinking on timing as far as that?
Yep, so we plan to release the RFP in the next couple of weeks, and then would love to come back in January with that final contract, as long as, timeline and everything works out. Okay. All right, thank you.
And Todd, I just want to highlight Todd too. Madam President, School Board, Dr. Schaefer, Bill Siebers, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. I am accompanied by Todd Piccone that will answer any questions around operations. He just didn't want to stand up here because we planned the same colored shirt as we do our presentation. That's teamwork. So hopefully you enjoy our presentation like the last one. So stewardship of resources also, we are hoping to make Gordon Jones proud of us tonight because I'm pretty sure he's watching us at home. So focus area 4, stewardship of resources. The budget process allows for transportation anticipated revenue to be received and how those funds are anticipated to be expended. So favorable to budget change in fund balance reserves was $5.64 million. The 24-25 budget was $2.99 million. So we outperformed a deficit budget, we would call that, because we used $2.99 million out of reserves. So available outperformance fund is about $2.65 million. So primary contributing factors, and it just gives you an idea because there's multiple revenue sources. Like, for example, the dollars that we received from grants was a part of that as well. But greater than expected specific ownership tax, interest in transportation revenue, and newcomer students, and then EC SPED support and ECEA revenue was a part of the favorable contributions. So favorable change in fund balance was $5.64 million. So there's ideas on how to give back to our employees, a stipend payment for all employee groups, $1,000 going to every staff member, which would come out to roughly about $2.4 million. And that would be based off of the employee's FTE. But this is a great way to give back to employees as this is a reopener for negotiations. And then telephone replacement, the Mountain View High School pool air handlers replacement, and then possibly the $2.99 million reimbursed back to reserves. So thank you, board. Any questions for Todd and myself? No, just moving forward, the $1,000 stipends giving back to our employees, that will start that. And if you're an employee as of December 1st is the triggering point that we would use, that you would be eligible for the stipend.
Okay.
So that's the same triggering point that we used back in 2022.
Okay. Anybody questions? Go ahead.
Because Todd wasn't in there, I would at least like to ask that if you can pursue and find out on the Mountain View High School pool repair, if that could be initiated now and access the URA funds versus waiting until the URA is wrapped up and closed in 2025, because I believe that's part of what that URA money is for. So I would ask if you could see if we could get it now.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I'm familiar with that, and we'll see what balance is left for that finalized.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, board.
All right. There was one report, wasn't there? Aye? Yeah, that's what I thought was on there. Is there anything else? Anybody have any requests for information? Just a reminder that our next meeting is down at Casby. We'll begin at, I'll send a note out as a reminder, but we'll begin at 10 o'clock on the 4th. And the day is full, and we have time where we'll be visiting with our attorney. So it is pretty much a full day that we have planned.
I do have one request for information. Based on what happened tonight with the speaker who was not able to sign up and speak, I would like information and to consider pursuing utilizing the Diligent software to allow electronic sign up for speaking. It would help people who don't have to rush here to sign up before 6 p.m. They could do it in advance. We'd be well aware of how many speakers there were, and it might prevent what happened tonight. So if we could do that, I'd appreciate it.
I think that's something we'll have to talk about. Yeah, but yeah, it's capability, I think, is there, but I think it's something we have to discuss. Yeah.
Well, right, and I know we
Yeah.
had previously discussed it, and there was no inclination to move on
Yeah.
it, so.
Okay. All right, I am going to adjourn this meeting.